it's Lainey Mays. I'm the Library Marketing Assistant from HarperCollins and the Library Love Fest marketing team. Recently I sat down with Stephanie Anderson, who's a librarian at BookOps in New York City. She's also on the steering committee for LibraryReads. We sat down to go through a tutorial of how to vote on the Edelweiss platform. So we have some breaking news. The official date to vote for LibraryReads have changed. So now when you go to vote for your favorite book for the month, you're going to vote on the first day prior to publication date. So, for example, if a book goes on sale in July, then you're going to vote June 1st. I really hope this answers all your questions and this video is helpful to you. Hi, it's Lainey from the Library Love Fest marketing team. These are a few of our past LibraryReads winners. So we're showcasing them today, but I'm also here at BookOps to interview someone very special, and I'm going to introduce them now. We're here to talk to Stephanie Anderson. She's the Assistant Director Selection for BookOps, serving the branches of the New York Public Library and Brooklyn Public Library, as well as a founding member and current chair of the LibraryReads Steering Committee. So, hi Stephanie.
Hello.
She's here to tell us all about LibraryReads.
Yes.
Answer any questions we might have. So, can you give us an overview of what LibraryReads is?
Sure. The best way to put it is that LibraryReads is the top 10 books published this month that librarians across the country love. And the way most people know LibraryReads, if they know LibraryReads, is by the list that we put together every month. This is the September list right here, September 2018. And it's pretty simple. Folks who work in public libraries across the country vote for their favorite books coming out. And then each month we share the top 10 books that got the most votes in order of the votes that they got, and they show up on this list. All you got to do is work in a public library to vote, and it's a pretty great list of books. It's basically, if you've ever heard of the Indie Next list, it's like the Indie Next list, but for libraries, for public libraries.
Yeah, so once they're picked to be on this, authors love this.
Yep.
They're so excited when libraries support them. What are some references and maybe some things that people can use in the library? I know on the website there's a lot of material.
Sure, so we have a whole bunch of stuff on the website people can use. Obviously printing these out, we make this PDF available in color and black and white because we know color is quite a luxury for most of us in public libraries. So just using these as handouts for patrons or building a display around all of the lists. I've seen some libraries laminate the list each month and keep them on a ring behind the desk to be a great reader's advisory tool or a display tool. You can also share them with patrons on social media or through your email. It's a really great way to say, hey, our colleagues across the country picked these books, they must be great. And there's a lot of different types of books, so there's probably something on it for a lot of different types of readers. We have these banners that you can download. You can add them to your library website, emails, however you want to use them. If you're in the habit of providing like best books list to the newspaper or to some, to a local blog that you work with, just really great content, and it can even have your name on it sometimes because you and anybody who works at your library can submit for it. So there's a lot of different ways to go about using it. Some libraries use it for a training tool, but the most basic thing is just to print out the list and make it available to patrons. Even that can be a huge benefit for those patrons who hate coming up to the desk and asking questions. The September list, for example, has only books being published this month in September. So, one question I hear from librarians all the time is, how do I keep up with, there's so many books, thousands of books coming out every month, how do I keep up? This can be a really great way to keep up-to-date content about great new books in your library and in front of your patrons without you personally having to know about every single book coming out every month.
So who can vote for LibraryReads?
Anybody who works in a public library. And I can't stress the two of those words enough, anybody and public. So not that we don't love our friends in school and academic and special libraries, but we're looking to feature the unique contribution that public library staff add for their patrons. But it can be anybody. You do not need to have a particular job title or job function. You don't need to have a particular degree. You don't need to work full time. There's no requirements except that you work in a public library.
So how do they find these books and how early can they vote?
Sure. So, well, first thing, I mean, I guess anybody watching this probably knows that you can work with library marketing teams across the country and they'll help you know what's coming out. But if you're watching this video, you probably already know that. One of the easiest ways is to use the tool Edelweiss. There's also NetGalley, where I have it up here in the window. Publishers post their catalogs and information about their books coming out in advance. So that's a really great way to keep up to date on what is coming out. So I use Edelweiss a lot to do my searching, just to see like, okay, I wonder what's coming out, what do I want to read, in addition to getting all the various emails that people send out. You can even, if you're doing your collection development, if you're doing ordering on Baker & Taylor or Ingram or some other wholesaler, a lot of times they're buying books in advance. So sometimes that's the easiest way to learn about what books are coming out.
Okay, so can we pick a book and show them how to vote?
Sure. Do you want to pick a book we've already picked?
Oh, let's do The Word is Murder.
The Word is Murder. Okay, so I'll show everybody here how easy it is to vote. So the first thing
So this has already been on the list.
Already on the list, yes.
But it's an example of how you can vote.
Yes, and so I've already done the first thing, which is that when I registered for Edelweiss, I registered as a public librarian. There are complete instructions on how to do that at LibraryReads.org. If you go to LibraryReads.org and then click on this Participate button here on the top, it'll show you how to set up your account so that the rest of this works. So I've already done that bit. So let's say either I downloaded a galley or also maybe I read an advanced print copy. It doesn't matter how you read the book in advance. It just matters that you've read it and you think it belongs on the list. You can just go ahead and do a really quick title search. The Word is Murder. I hope I'm spelling everything right. It's so much easier to make spelling mistakes when people are watching you. All right, so it comes up right here and I think, oh my gosh, I really want to share it. So it's very simple. It's not at all intuitive, but it is easy once you get the hang of it. So you can see, here's the book, The Word is Murder. And down here at the bottom right-hand corner, there's a whole bunch of buttons, and I'm going to click on this one that says Review. It has this little tiny word bubble.
Can't you just do the like button?
You can't just do the like button. No, Lainey, no. You can, but it's not, you can if you want to tell everybody you liked a book, but it's not going to do anything to nominate for library reads. And here's why. When I click on this, you'll see I have a lot of different options, and you can do as many or as few of these as you like before you nominate. You can pick a number, you can pick what you liked about it, you can list some themes, you can leave a little review, and if you've ever looked at the Library Reads list and seen the annotations that we credit to librarians who vote, that's where we pull them from, is from the reviews. But you can do all of these things, and it won't be worth a tinker's darn unless you click on Submit To. Right now it says 0 because I haven't submitted it to anybody. And then there's 4 options: Publisher, Indie Next, Library Reads, and SEBA. You want to pick Library Reads. That's very, very, very important. I would also recommend that you pick Publisher so the publisher can see what you're up to, especially if you're a librarian who's trying to build your credibility and get publishers to know your library and get them to see you as a collection development and reader's advisory expert. That's great. But to be on the list, you have to pick Library Reads. And then you click this little Save button down here. For those of you who are too young to know what this is, that is how you used to save files on a disk. And then you hit save, and there you go. Now I have submitted my vote. Now, if I had I'm just going to delete my vote so you can see why the heart doesn't work. And delete it. If you just click on the much love over here, you can see it thinks I've added a review, and I've definitely added this nice little heart. But although I've loved it and has automatically told me I love it to a degree of 9 out of 10, the Submit To still has a 0 next to it. It hasn't been submitted anywhere. So make sure that you always take the time to open up the review field, click on Submit To, and then go to Library Reads. And importantly, save it. And that way, when we pull the votes each month, your vote will be counted.
Amazing.
Yes.
So a lot of people submit reviews at all times, which are wonderful, but sometimes that does not always go within the voting deadline.
It does not.
What should they remember when doing that?
It's important to note you can't vote too early, but you can vote too late.
Anything else they should remember when looking at library reads or trying to figure out books they want to nominate?
I think the 2 important things to remember. One is, don't be afraid to just try a little piece of it. You don't need to feel like, I've just showed you a whole bunch of stuff. Oh, I've got to have a whole long list of books to nominate, and I've got to write a review for each of them, and don't let yourself be overwhelmed. Let it be easy. Start out by just printing out the list and learning about the books and talking to your patrons about them. Start out by nominating a book when you read it in advance. Just give it a shot. You do not need to write up a review to submit a vote. You can just submit to Library Reads. Of course, we love it when you write a review because that's part of how we help develop the list, but it's not necessary. If that's what's keeping you from voting, just send it on in. We'd rather have your vote without a review than not have a vote at all. And the second thing is, if you're watching this and you already know a lot of this, I'd encourage you to think about who you could share this information with. You could share this video, you could share our website. Does everybody you work with in your public library know that this is an option to them? I meet librarians all over the country all the time who, they've never heard of Library Reads, that's fine, we're only 5 years old, but they don't even know what an ARC is or that they could have access to it. So if you already know this, pay it forward, think about who else in your professional life you could share it with and sort of spread the love.
And if you have any questions, you can always reach out to the HarperCollins team at librarylovefest@harpercollins.com. Also, Library Reads available on all social media. I'm sure they would love questions if you have
Love them. Absolutely, yeah.
This has been so great. Thank you, Stephanie.
Sure, thank you.
Yeah.